We're on a bus. It's a bright, sunny day. We're going on a field trip. I'm sitting with my best friends. We're in the 8th grade, and we are going to Cedar Point today. We're going because we're the good kids in school. We're like the kids in like the National Junior Honor Society and the newspaper and the choir and the student council. So they're rewarding us by taking us on a field trip on a school day. And that's where I am, on that bus with 4 of my other girlfriends, because where they put us in groups for the field trip. And there's a 6th person in our group, but she's on the other bus. And that girl is Mindy. And Mindy has been my friend since the first week of kindergarten. In 1977, we made friends. And Mindy, she's always had this thing with school. Kids just, she never really fits in, and the kids say things about her and say things to her. And they make fun of her hair, and they make fun of her clothes. And they make fun of things that she does, and they make fun of her family. And I know from my own parents, I know that Mindy is considered the school's fat girl. And I don't think I would have thought that like on my own, because I really don't think that way, but I know from my parents, Mindy is the school's fat girl, and I know that there's certain things she can't do. Like, for example, there's in the front of the school, there's a jungle gym, and we all climb to the top. That's the thing, but Mindy can't do it because Mindy's just a little bit bigger. And when you go to her house, and I go to her house all the time, because I don't care about the jungle gym. I don't care about that. She's my friend. I go to her house, and every time you get in her house, the curtains are closed. And there's this smell like nothing's been aired out in a really long time. And there's cords all over the floor, and it's really hard to get around. And there's just these on the walls, there's these owls, or these macrame owls. Like, it was the 70s, like that was a thing. But the macrame owls have these glass beady eyes, and they stare at you. And sometimes I have nightmares still that I'm in that house with Mindy, and there's always that smell, and there's always those owls.
We're gonna do another one in the same vein. This is a song about the Exxon Valdez and the man who was responsible. He was the CEO of ExxonMobil at the time, and his name is Lee Raymond. We call this The Ugly American. Exxon Valdez ran into Blind Reef. 30 million gallons of crude hit the beach. A single hull tanker and a skeleton crew. Saved Exxon money, but nature got screwed. His only concern is profits that soar. Doesn't give a shit about the dying in the war. An ugly American. He's an ugly American.
I came across an article, a newspaper report that was dated, I think, 2013, where there was an algae bloom so bad that people were without drinking water for about 3 days. So 500,000 people were affected by this.
Wow.
And this is happening every year since starting in 2009. And what it is it's runoff of phosphorus and nitrate. So when it gets to our lakes and streams, gets into a body like Lake Erie, which is a relatively shallow lake, sunlight filters through and they just bloom. And it actually will absorb oxygen in the lake and kill off and suffocate life forms. The piece is called Hopes, Prayers, and Wishes for the Great Lakes. And it started out, it's bit of more of a movement performance or movement theater type piece than a straight up dance piece. And what I did is I initially came in with some research that I did about issues concerning the Great Lakes, like the Enbridge pipeline that runs through the Straits of Mackinac, and issues with water shutoffs in Detroit. And we're all pretty aware of the Flint water crisis, as well as things like algae blooms and things that are causing a lot of that are basically damaging our water resource, which is a pretty amazing thing, and yet it's not being taken care of. So all this information was brought to the dancers here, and we started to develop work around it. We also were looking at a particular Inuit myth called the Skeleton Woman. And that's what we started off with, and it's evolved from there. The basic idea about the Skeleton Woman is this woman who was tossed off a cliff by her father because she did something he wasn't happy about, and then fish ate away her flesh and left just her bones, and this area, the sea, was haunted. But there was this one lone fisherman who didn't know the area was haunted, so he went out and cast his fishing pole out and he caught the Skeleton Woman in his fishing line. What you're going to see isn't a verbatim telling of that, but I think the essence is there. So, that's basically the process. It's very improvisational. We have a structure, and we all know where we're at within that, and musicians have given us some phenomenal music, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Toxic chemicals and pollutants damage all living organisms.
Toxic chemicals can lead to reproductive problems, neurological disorders, and cancer.
We're all aware of the Enbridge pipeline number 5 that runs 645 miles.
Wildlife as canaries and goldmine. Pollutants are toxic and increasing concentration to excessive level of the food chain.
Causing extreme deformity and even death.
Waterway pollution can cause the health of the waterway and the health of humans and the organisms living in the waterway.
Running from Wisconsin to Sarnia, Ontario.
The deteriorating health of fish and wildlife sheds light on the need to clean up the Great Lakes. We cannot wait on anybody to save us or respond to not having water.
And like I'm a grown-up. I'm in my 30s. And there were so many things that happened that we never could have imagined on that bus in 1986. Wi-Fi, laptops, personal computers, the internet, social media, Facebook, Meetup. I never could have thought of meetup.com. And if you don't know Meetup, it's like, it's what it sounds like. There's groups and you go by based on your interest and you meet other people. And I'm in a group, I'm in a Meetup group. I'm in my late 30s and I'm in this group with my boyfriend, now husband, and it's a board game group. And like you can see, if you know Meetup, you can see pictures of people and you can put your real name, I did, or not. And we're there at this board game meetup, and there's a girl named Beth at this meetup, and she makes me think the term mean girl for the first time in like, I mean, decades. Because she's one of those mean girls. She's making fun of everybody. And she even smokes. It's like perfect. She's totally the mean girl. And at one point, she just starts going off about her boyfriend's sister. How disgusting this girl is. How she leeches off boyfriend Brian's parents. She's like, there's not going to be an inheritance for Brian because the sister just leeches off and they support her because she can't keep a job. She's been fired from 3 different teaching jobs. And back then that was hard. It's easy to get rid of us now. But back then it was really hard. And she says, and Beth is just going on and says that, that the sister just sits in the house all day and doesn't date and never had a boyfriend and doesn't leave and just sits there all day. And she's disgusting to look at. And I'm just overwhelmed by all this, and I hear myself say, well, was she like in an accident? And Beth goes, no, she has OCD, she's a picker. She picks her skin until it bleeds, and then when it bleeds, it scabs over, and her whole face is covered, and she looks like a burn victim. And I'm feeling sick, not because of that, because of Beth. I want her to stop. She's a mean girl. And she leaves, and the boyfriend appears, and he's like the nicest guy, and I'm like, how are you with her? And he says, he's, hi, I'm Brian. And I start to say who I am. And he says, no, I know exactly who you are. You're Patti Smith. You grew up on Arlene Drive and you went to Thorpe Elementary School. You were friends with my big sister, Mindy. And I'm back at Thorpe Elementary School, long since demolished, long gone. And I'm there with that jungle gym that was shaped like a rocket ship that we all had to climb to the top of. But here's the thing I didn't admit until I started doing the story. I never climbed to the top. I told people I did. And it was a very interesting early lesson that if you tell people things, they will believe you. And I told people, well, yeah, I've climbed it. And eventually people were like, oh yeah, I remember when I remember the day you climbed it. I'm like, no, you don't, because I didn't do it. So I never did it, but Mindy did. There was a day at the end of first grade where she got to the top of the rocket ship jungle gym. And she looked down and she found me in the crowd and she locked eyes with me and she waved to me because she wanted me to be proud. Except that I'm not there. It's decades later and I'm in front of her brother Brian and I start saying, oh my God, Brian, how are you? How's Mindy? How's the family? And we're talking and he's super cool and we're playing a board game. My boyfriend, now husband Ken, and me and Brian. And in the middle of this board game, Brian looks up at me and says, it took Mindy a long time to get over what you did to her at Cedar Point. And I feel like I'm in that board game because stuff is like falling on the board and stuff is, I feel like it's falling on me and I feel like I'm being crushed because the stuff that Beth was saying, Mean Girl Beth was saying, was about Mindy. That was my Mindy. So like the rational part of me is like, well, Patti, you didn't cause the OCD, you didn't make her get fired, you didn't, but the other side of me is like, yeah, okay, no, you didn't, but you didn't help, did you? Because you never called her the fat girl, but you never stopped others from doing it.
Being with you is such a joy, traveling in faraway lands, or being here in our neighborhood, walking hand in hand. You're kind and you're caring, your life is all about. And every time I see your face, it makes me want to shout, I love